Hi, how are we doing? I'm doing great because today it is time for my September wrap up. I do this say this month flew by. I thought I was doing great reading wise, and then it was almost the end of the month and I barely read anything. So I kicked my ass back into gear and I managed to read 9 books this month, which is great, but it is a bit less than I typically do, which amounted to 3,107 pages read, which is an average of 103.56 pages per day and an average of 345.22 pages per book. And I had one DNF this month. I hate to say that, but I didn't finish any series. Still, I've been so bad at that this year, so forgive me. So for the format, I read 2 books that I physically owned, 2 ebooks, 3 guys from NetGalley, and 2 library books. This is 8 those I've been returned already, so you'll also see a picture pop up for that. I hate that too, but you know, due dates are due dates. So then for star rating, I have 2 1-stars, 1 2-star, 5 4-stars, and 1 5-star, which is an average rating of 3.22, which is low. But I do have to say, I think this is like the first month in a while that I haven't had a book for each star rating, so that's interesting. So then for age range, we have 1 middle grade, 2 young adult books, 1 new adult, and 5 adult books. And then for genre, I have 2 mystery thrillers, 1 non-fiction, 1 comic, and 3 contemporary books, and 2 fantasies. And I have to say the DNFs aren't counted in any of those stats. I don't know if that was obvious to you. So yeah, let's actually begin with my DNF because it's the first book I tried to read this month, and that's The Summer of Jordi Perez by Amy Spalding. As I said, this was a DNF, and yeah, I remember like back in the day, this is like one of the first like sapphic books that really I saw a lot on booktube at the time. So I've been meaning to read it ever since, and then last year I finally had a second-hand bookstore and I got so excited for it because I was like, oh my god, it's been on my TBR since forever. And then I made it a mission to read it this summer, and I technically read it, but I tried to read it at the start of September, so that's technically still summer. And I unfortunately had to DNF this, and I had to DNF this like pretty early in. I don't remember exactly when, but I wasn't that far in this at all. But I just thought this was so cringy, and I really couldn't with it. I don't know, there was just something about like the writing of it and the dialogue that gave me such a massive ick, and I couldn't. And on top of that, I do also have to say, like I said, I didn't get in very far in at all. I would be surprised if I made it 50 pages in, and the end's still lava already. It's insane. So yeah, this unfortunately wasn't for me. Then next I read The Killer Question by Janice Hallett, which I give 5 stars to in the Galley from NetGalley. Janice Hallett, as you know, is a mystery author that I will forever read and love. I'm not a big mystery thriller reader, just like I enjoy it, and I've definitely learned to appreciate it more as I've grown older and I've read more of it, but it's not my favorite genre. But I adore me a Janice Hallett book, and this was no exception. It's her latest release, and it was such a good time. I flew through this book. It was such an engaging read. It stole mixed media, like just like all of Janice Hallett's book, but I think the way it was framed and everything was just really cleverly done. And then I also just really liked the mystery. It took me on a wild ride. It had a lot of moving parts that I didn't know how they were gonna connect, and they connected so brilliantly. So that was great. I also really liked it has like a setting, it's set around like pub quizzes, and I thought that was really fun as well. So yeah, I don't know, I highly recommend this one. I really enjoyed it. Next I read Speech by Wouter, which I gave 4 out of 5 stars to. So I went to Wouter, stand-up comedian. I went to one of his shows I think 2 or 3 years ago now, and I bought 2 of his books. One I finally read last month, and then the second one I'm reading now, which is relevant because in October I'm going to see him again. So it would have been shameful if I still hadn't read these books. But this is actually the one that we went to the show for. Like it was like a little companion to it, and this is a non-fiction, and it's basically an ode to the Dutch language and to the West Vlaams like dialect, and I really enjoyed it. It is what it says on the tin. It genuinely feels like a love letter to a language, and especially because it's told kind of through the eyes of him as a kid discovering different things within language. At first, of course, talking about learning how to speak and how to read, and then later on in life, like learning how to write essays and like stuff like that. And I thought it was all just really interesting and just lovely kind of to read. And then throughout it, and just parts are kind of like these language exercises, I would say, but they turn out to be poems like more than half of the time. I'm gonna be honest, but I thought they were really fun as well. And of course, it is written by a comedian, so it is very funny, like genuinely. and it's a really fun read that I would recommend if you of course can read it. Then next I read The Sky is the Limit by Renée and Donnie DeVos, which I give her 5 stars to. This is the latest comic. I'm finally caught up. Let's fucking go. And as you might know, these have been very hit or miss for me. To be fair, they're also not targeted towards me, but I have thought some of them are fun, and this is one of those. I really thought the plot was kind of simple and really fun, and that's kind of what I need. The ones that I don't like about this, oftentimes the plot gets convoluted for like the little page time we get in these, but this one kept things simple and was a lot of fun. It's basically about like a competition to perform on like this cruise ship, but it's special because that performance also will get aired on TV. So you know, I think that was a lot of fun. Like also the setting and kind of like the inner conflict between characters was really well executed. Then next I read Glorious Rivals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, which I give 1 of 5 stars to. Yeah, I don't really want to talk about this one, but I'm gonna have to. So this is the second book in the Grannis Games series, which is a spin-off to the Inheritance Games series. So I've read a lot of books about these characters and set in this world, and at this point I can't help but feel like this is just a cash grab. Like, I don't know, I had a lot of fun with the original trilogy, and then these other books have been like not that great, but the first one in this series, in this trilogy, the spin-off trilogy, like seemed promising to me, and then this just flushed it all down the toilet. For me, I just feel like the characters are extremely one-dimensional, the plot is just not interesting, and then like the games, there's no effort put into the games. Like they feel so haphazard and simple, and I don't know, it doesn't really feel the same as it did in the original trilogy, and I was just so bored while reading this book. So yeah, it just really wasn't for me. Then the next book that I read the same time next summer by Annabel Monaghan, which I gave to the 5 stars as I got from Nagali. This again, there's a lot of disappointment for me. There's gonna be a couple more of those. I have previously really enjoyed Annabel Monaghan's other romances. This is the last one of her adult romances that I still needed to read. There's some YA books that haven't read yet, but when it comes to adult romance, I've read them all now. I really enjoyed the other ones that I read, so I was expecting to enjoy this one again, to have another quick summer read right before summer ended, and I really was disappointed by this. I think the only thing that's really delivered on is a quick summer read, honestly, because it is a very quick read. You'll fly through it even if you don't like it, like me, and it is peak summer vibes and generally really good at delivering that. But I just thought the main character was insufferable. I didn't like the romance. I thought it was very poorly developed, and then I despised the ending. I felt like it was so unrealistic that I wanted to throw. I read it on my iPad, and I wanted to throw my iPad across the room because that's just how frustrating it was. So yeah, I'm not a fan of this one, Sally, you know. Then let's talk about my favorite book of the month, and that's Katabasis by Kuang, which I gave out of 5 stars for. I will say I did a full spoiler-free vlog for this book, so if you want to know of my more in-depth spoiler-free thoughts, go check out that one. I'm actually really proud about how it turned out. So yeah, and also I have a hard time like condensing my thoughts in a short time frame. So I do think I don't plug my vlogs typically in my wrap-ups. I should do that more, but I'm doing it now because I do think you'll get something out of it more than what I'm saying now. But basically, I really loved this. I feel like I'm in the minority with that one. I really enjoyed this. It was a very like quick read for what it is, obviously, like relatively compared to Same Time Next Summer. This was slow, but like compared to Babel, the other book by Kuang, that's kind of dark academia, this was so fast. It was so engaging as well. Like I wanted to keep reading. I read this in like a little bit more than 24 hours. That's just how engaged I was with the plot and the story. I thought the world was, and the magic system was very interesting. The way hell works was very interesting. I loved Alice. She's like a very unlikable main character. Like she's very flawed, but I adored her, and you can't take that away from me. And then I also really like Peter. I do have to say, I do think the relationship is a little bit underdeveloped, but considering that's such a minor part of this book, I didn't really, you know, hinder my enjoyment of it at all. And ultimately, when it comes to Alice's personal journey, I feel like that's the most important part, and that was so satisfyingly done. The discussions around academia, and especially power dynamics and misogyny within academia, I thought were really well executed. So yeah, I would highly recommend this one, but I know it has gotten some very mixed reviews. Then next, I read The Foxhole Court by Nora Sakavic, which I give 1 out of 5 stars to. This is another book that I see going around on booktube back in the day a lot, and therefore I've been like very curious to read it, and I finally got around to it, and I hated it so much. I really don't get it, because I have heard before that this isn't like a high quality book but a high entertainment book. None of the above. I mean, it was low quality, I do have to say that. The characters were very poorly written, like very one-dimensional. Either like some characters had no personality at all. I feel like the main character was very wishy-washy and constantly kind of like changed his mind on things, and his kind of like motivations and drive didn't match his actions, which was also very frustrating to read. But the most egregious thing the book had going for it is that it had nothing going for it. It was so boring, nothing happened at all, and I felt like I was going out of my mind because I heard so many great things about this series over the years, and I couldn't. I pushed myself through it and it was very painful, and I don't recommend. This was such a bore. I apologize. And then next I read Crave by Tracy Wolff, which I gave 4 out of 5 stars to, and this is what I wanted from the Foxhole Court. I mean, it's a very different book. Don't go into them thinking it's the same thing, but when it comes to low quality, high enjoyment, this was that. This was what I needed. So I'm very glad it still found its way to me. And I should have known that in the world of vampires is where I would find it. And you have to say that when this originally was like very popular on Book Talk, it was pitched to me as the new Twilight. It has 0 similarities to Twilight, besides the fact that it's of course a human girl falling in love with like a broody teenage vampire. But that's so common in fiction that I don't think Twilight comparison is necessary. But this was so much fun. Oh my god, I had such a blast reading this book. This is like another one that I read very quickly, and the Dutch edition, which is what I read, is like over 600 pages long, and this felt like it was like 300 pages, like very snappy quick read. It was such a blast. I laughed so much. I don't know if it always was intentional, but I laughed so fucking much and I had so much fun. I do have to say, again, we do deal with one-dimensional characters. We do deal with incel love. Like, it was cheesy, but it was like good. And I don't know, I had so much fun with this, and there was like a good amount of plot that kept me invested and going. And like, yes, if I think about that plot for more than 5 seconds, I see more holes than plot, but I don't care. I had a good time and I can't wait to read the second book. And then lastly, for this month already, I read Every Step She Takes by Alison Cochrun, which I gave 4 out of 5 stars to the gallery from that gallery. I think Alison Cochrun is a great romance author where she just writes very good romances but also very good characters, and this book is no exception to that. I feel like a romance is really well developed. They have kind of like this instant connection, which is great, but it does take a little bit for them to like actually build the relationship, and they have fun together. They can open up to each other about anything, and also they have some sexy moments. So it's the ideal romance, you would say. And I also just really like both of their separate character journeys. They were very different, but ultimately were kind of about confronting themselves in a way, and I thought that was really well done. And I love the setting of the Camino. I didn't know much about that previously. Like, I know that's a thing people do, but I didn't like know that much about it, and I thought the setting of it was really fun, and also like makes sense when you read a book about 2 people that need to like confront who they are as a person, kind of, in a way. That sounds very dramatic. It's not that dramatic. I feel like having such like a long strenuous walk is like very conducive, I don't know the word, but it's like, it is very fitting for that. And I also just like the cast of side characters. I thought they brought this book to life. So yeah, I don't know, I didn't love it, but I don't really like it. So there we go. And that is everything I have for you today. Let me know in the comments what you thought of any of these books if you've read them, and hopefully I'll see you right next time. Good.
Here I am again, the same old situation. Why does the God thing have to be so complicated?